As it's Pride Month, I wanted to talk about why I feel proud to be HIV positive. This is something that I've managed to overcome thanks to the help and support of Terrence Higgins Trust. And through their scheme, Positive Voices, I now take my story into schools, universities, and organisations to tell them what it's like to live with HIV now.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about something that happened on Friday. So I was out for a few drinks with a few people after seeing the show. And we got onto the subject of me running the marathon in 6 weeks, which I haven't stopped talking about to anybody I bump into because I'm vigorously canvassing for donations. But also that I kind of want to brag that I'm doing another marathon. But it kind of got to the subject of why I'm raising money for HIV charities. And this surprised me because with the people that I was talking to, I expected them to all know by now that I'm HIV positive because I came out HIV positive in October last year. I've been living with it since 2016, but for various reasons, I kept it private. And it was only very recently that I came out. But I did it big scale. I did it by posting videos on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter. And I made this plan to kind of get it out there kind of simultaneously across all my social media. And it was a bit of a struggle because as I was uploading videos onto different platforms, I was starting to get responses and I was trying to recognize and respond to those whilst it was all coming in. And it was all kind of very kind of emotional anyway. It was all big thing. But I have never looked back. I mean, it's only been a few months, but I honestly think it's one of the best things that I've ever done, possibly in my life, certainly since my diagnosis. I think the real strength in owning your status is, I don't mean I can talk about the reasons why I didn't want to do it. I remember when I was first diagnosed, I was a single man, still am, was worried that I would put off people if they knew that I was HIV positive. I was worried that it would scare people, that I would fall in love with somebody and they would just not love me back. Um, and I think the first time I realized that wasn't the case was when I went on a date with this incredible guy who was also HIV positive. And straight away I was like, well, we're meant to be together. But we had a nice date, but he just wasn't into me. So straight away, that kind of shattered that illusion that I was worrying and made up in my head that I wasn't going to find one or I had to find a certain person because it just doesn't exist. But like I say, it kind of, to come out publicly isn't for everybody. People have their own time. Like say for me, it took 7 years. And but what I realized as well, because this came up in a conversation on Friday over these drinks, where they talked about it not defining me or it not becoming my identity. I completely disagree. I think when I was diagnosed in 2016, I was in quite a dark place and I knew about the measures we could take. I knew about PrEP, I knew about PEP, but I still didn't protect myself. I still put myself in situations which led to me catching HIV. Um, and that was something that I just didn't have self-worth. I didn't value my life in the way that I do now. And I think that diagnosis flicked a switch in me because it made me really evaluate myself and really love myself. And I really do now. And I think for me, it also has opened doors and open barriers to meet incredible people. Some of the people that I've met who are living with HIV that I've met through Terrence Higgins or other events are incredible. And I think it's guided me through my past 7 years. And now, since owning it, since coming out publicly in October, it's broken down even more barriers. It's enabled me to be there, to listen to other people who've come to me and shared their experiences. it's allowed me to be my full self, like my genuine, authentic self, if you want to put it like that. But yeah, owning my status and having pride in it has really kind of strengthened my confidence. It's made me a better person. I think I'm more understanding of other people. I think that I'm more compassionate. I think ultimately I value my life. And I think that goes back to some of the incredible people that I know who have been living with it for 40 years. I met, very luckily, Jonathan Blake, who was one of the first people in London to be diagnosed with HIV in October 1982. And this was only a few months after I was born. So in my entire lifetime, he's been living with HIV. And I find that remarkable. And I find he finds it remarkable that he's still here, still with us at 73, when we've lost so many people over the years. And I never take that for granted. I think reflectively, I appreciate so much. I appreciate the NHS. I appreciate everybody in my generation and the generation before who have fought for us and who've got us to where we are and have been out there. And I remember the film that Jonathan Blake is represented by is a film called Pride. And I forgot about it, but I actually took part in the film. There was a huge scene where they do this march across Westminster Bridge, and they closed off Westminster Bridge, and they got loads of us down. And I remember they put me in these hideous white jeans, which all got covered in mud. But I was there, and didn't really remember doing it because I've done so many movies. But yeah, it was one of them that when I thought back to it, I was like, oh my God, I was recreating those moments that have kind of shaped HIV history. And not just HIV history, like say gay pride and gay history, especially someone like Jonathan Blake, because it's crazy how our lives kind of mirror each other. We both went to drama school when we were younger. He talked to me about the decriminalization of sexual activity and the Sexual Offenders Act, which changed in 1967. But at that age, the age of consent was 21 and he was 18. So it's still for him, although it was great, he still had to hide it for another 3 years. And the same thing happened in my case, because when it was then lowered from 21 to 18, I still had to wait until I was 18 in the year 2000 for it to be reduced to 16. So when I was 16 and all my friends were just carrying on their normal life, I still had to hide that. And I think that is where I feel really, really proud of where we all are at the moment, and why I feel it's important to really speak out and be proud of who you are, because there is no shame in it. And I remember even having an argument with somebody that's like, well, how can you be proud of having HIV? And I'm like, it's not that I'm proud that how I got it or that I carry it. I'm proud of the person I've become because of it. And I'm proud of the way I handled it, the way I conduct myself now, and the way I try to now make a difference to other people. That is what I'm proud of. And for me, it is part of my identity. And I love that it is, because I will continue to wear it in the same way Jonathan Blake has inspired me in his way, that he's a 73-year-old man who still goes swimming in the open air in Brockwell Park, no shits given, and has worn that badge since he was diagnosed in the early 80s, when it was a death sentence. Like, I'm very, very fortunate, very lucky that it has evolved and has changed, and people's perceptions have changed.